on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. We're going to talk about how the Democratic Party is destroying women. It's a weird thing that they're doing, and we're going to make sure that America understands it today on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, let's get this thing started. In 1963, February 19th, Betty Friedman wrote a book called The Feminine Mystique. This is how the book is described. The Feminine Mystique is a book by American author Betty Friedan, widely credited with sparking second-wave feminism in the United States. First published by W.W. Norton on February 19, 1963, The Feminine Mystique became a bestseller, initially selling over 1 million copies. Friedan used the book to challenge the widely shared belief that fulfillment as a woman had only one definition for American women after 1949, and that was housewife/mother. Miss Betty Friedan said, no. Housewife and mother doesn't fulfill a woman. A woman got to do other things. And these other things was basically competing with men. Basically wanted to be a man, actually. They started saying that the things that make men men, and men will tell you this, that when it comes down to their duty, is providing for their families and doing the yard and taking out the trash and making sure the children are disciplined and making sure that the cars are maintained and making sure that the family is secure and protected. They take pleasure and they take pride in doing that well. They will proudly say, this is what I do, and I do it well, and I'm happy to do it. But then when it comes down to, and women used to be the same way about being women and being wives. I keep a clean house. I keep a well-run house. I keep my children clean. I keep them healthy. I mean, if you came into a woman's house and a woman's house was dirty and their children were unkept, they looked at the woman. They didn't look at the father. If you came to a home and saw that the yard was unkempt and the hedges were overgrown and the cars were dirty and not maintained and the house was not maintained properly when it came down to things like plumbing and electricity and doors and hinges and whatnot, they looked at the man. It was in the business of labor that everybody kind of understood, and it worked well. Women took home ec classes so they could know how to keep a nice house and tend to their children and their husband. Men took shop classes and other classes so they could know how to take care of their wives, their daughters, and their sons and maintain their homes. Then all of a sudden, the civil rights movement hit.
Have any kids?
I do. I have 6 altogether.
You gave birth to 6 children?
I did. I gave birth to 6 children.
Are they all by the same man?
No, ma'am.
How many men?
4.
4 men. Melissa, have you ever been married?
I have not.
You have any children?
Yes, I do. I have 5 children.
You have 5 kids. They're all by the same man?
No, they're not. There's 4 different.
Do you have any kids?
Yes, ma'am. I have 4.
How many kids you got, Angel?
I have 4.
Are they all your children by the same man?
No, ma'am.
How many men?
All my kids were by different men.
So 4?
Yes.
Okay, 4 men. Okay.
Nasty.
And these communists who wanted to shake up all of worldwide authority and norms came up with this feminism craze and this not so much the equality between women and men, but the fact that gender did not exist. Women and men were in fact the same. This came over to America, and it became a feminism craze. And women started saying that in order for that we have to be equal to men. It's not so much as men saying they have to be equal to women. Women had to come up and say we have to be equal to men, and that we had to erase the distinction between genders. So women started acting like men, started wearing dresses. Started wearing pants. Now they're tattooing themselves. Now they're doing a lot of things that only men did. And now the lines are becoming constantly blurred between what is a man and what is a woman, to a point now where we actually are afraid to ask the question when we're out in the streets, when we see people that look androgynous. There was a time when men taught their sons that you have to make sure that people know that you are a man. How do you know this? Based upon how you're dressed and how you carry yourself. And fathers made sure that their sons knew this. And mothers were really serious about their children doing it. I remember watching the Beverly Hillbillies, one of the side stories was always that Ellen May Clampett did not want to wear a dress. He wanted to always be a tomboy and dress as a boy and act like a boy, and Granny and Jed hated it. She could beat up Jethro and slap him around and play with critters. But then every now and again, they talk into wearing a dress. She looked so elegant, she looked so beautiful, and she'd hate it. She just hated it. That was a slick and sly way of sliding that whole feminist concept into Hollywood. Now the Democratic Party is going full bore with it. I mean, it's ridiculous of these morons. They have this little this congressman out of the state of Delaware. It's a transgender female. I think I have this right. A transgender woman is a man that decided to become a woman. I don't know how this works, y'all, as I keep telling y'all again. I don't know what transgenderism is. I don't know if it's just a dude that puts on a wig and a dress and says I'm a woman, or if it is a person that has actually completely transitioned and got their junk cut off and got silicone plants and are now taking hormone pills. And I don't know if you have to get to a certain state where you say, I'm completely transgendered. I don't know. I don't know how this mess works, y'all. It's too confusing. All I know is I always tell people, I look at your birth certificate. If you're born a man, you're a man. If you're born a girl, you're a girl. I mean, the doctor didn't make no mistake when he looked at you. But then it goes into this concept of secular humanism where, we've always said that if you look at your body, it tells you what your sex is. And other people say it's going to know how you feel. I completely disagree with the whole concept of how you feel, because that changes from day to day. Your body is an absolute. It's too much confusion. But the Democrats want confusion. They want idiocy. They want stupidity. They've always been that way. I mean, slavery, for instance. A bunch of hypocrites would say that black people were inferior and were animals, and then they go to have sex with black women and they have babies by them. I'm sure they weren't doing it with their cows and their horses and their dogs on the plantations, or why were they doing it with the slaves if they were inhuman? They knew it was a lie. But it fit a narrative that they wanted to keep going. It was a power play. Everything they do is a power play. It's about maintaining and keeping power. This is no different. They know better than this. But they raise up young girls in this foolishness and they grab hold to it. And then when it becomes illogical, like, saying, okay, so now men can go in. So now a trans women are women, correct? Yeah. What is a trans woman? Whoever says it's a trans woman. So a man can put on a wig and say that he's a woman and go into a bathroom and start watching women use the bathroom. Well, I guess so. And that's what's happening now. Now, how can a woman survive that?
Don't get in my face. Don't get in my face. Do not get in my face. Don't get in my face. Don't get in my face. Don't you see my daughter right here? She's crazy. No. You need to go over there to the men. You need to go over there to the men.
Only here in Chicago.
You is a man. A whole grown man.
Wow. Over at the park.
For the last time, I'm not a man.
I'm sorry. I don't know what. No.
I look more shiny than you.
You wish. You wish. On my worst days, baby. On my worst days.
Okay.
Good luck. Good luck.
If y'all have a problem with me
Good
in this
luck.
bathroom, y'all.
See, the feminists jumped onto the liberal bandwagon in the 60s with this book, The Feminine Mystique. And they started believing this lie, not understanding that at its basic conclusion, it was going to end up with men being able to put on dresses and saying that they are women, and women not being able to do anything about it. That was the conclusion of it. But nobody thought that anybody would become that this nation would become that insane. When you brought that up to them 40 or 50 years ago, you said, do you understand the inevitable conclusion of your hypothesis? What's that? That if there is no gender and that people can determine what gender they are, the inevitable conclusion of your hypothesis is that men are going to start putting on dresses and wigs and saying that they're women, and everything that you have fought for is going to go back over to the men, because the men are going to come back into your space and dominate you because they are men. That's not going to happen. Men are too masculine for that. Men would never do such a thing. And now look at what's going on. Got to pass laws to keep men from going into women's sports. Got to pass laws to keep men out of women's bathrooms. Because they say a man can say he's a woman. Now, you know what? Here's an odd thing here. You don't have any problem with women coming out into men's spaces. You ain't heard a man complain about it yet. You know why? Because we can defend ourselves. A woman can't impose nothing on a man. Men can impose a lot of stuff on women. Sexually, physically. A woman can't impose anything on a man. Not a real man. She might can impose something on a feminine soy boy. But a real bra? Nah. She ain't going to impose anything on him. So these feminists, some thinking this thing out to its ultimate conclusion, others not thinking it out to their ultimate conclusion, fell for the trap. And now look at where they are. They are put in a position where they got to defend the indefensible. What is the indefensible? The destruction of womanhood in America. A situation where they have convinced women that the best thing that you can do is not be under a man. Nevertheless, when they get pregnant and there's not a man to raise that boy, by the time that boy is 14, 15, 16, yeah, they under a man then. Because that boy's going to do whatever the hell he want to do. And most of these women can't stop it. You got yourself a boy 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. If he ain't under control by you, you're not going to get him under control. You better let his daddy have him. Because you're going to show up be under a man then. And if you got 2 or 3 boys, you'll be under 2 or 3 men. And if they don't have you under control in the house, they're going to have you under control when you got to come to visit them in the penitentiary. Putting money on his books. Taking care of his grandchildren. Taking care of your grandchildren because he ain't married to the baby daddy. To the baby mama, I'm sorry. Yeah. The feminine mystique. That's Ashley. Like I said, this woman up in Delaware, with this trans person up in Delaware, decided to be a man in a dress. Went up on Capitol Hill, said he wanted to use women's bathroom. The congresswoman from South Carolina said, no. I've been assaulted by men before. You are not going to be in the bathroom with me. He tried to buck a little bit. She went up, and so happened that the Republicans happened to control the House this session. Went to Mike Johnson and said, no, 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 no. A lot of those women started complaining, and Mike Johnson said, what's your birth certificate? He said, well, my birth certificate said I was born a man, and that's what you are. 2 genders, man and woman. You're not going to be able to go into the women's bathroom up on Capitol Hill. That was settled. But again, and the Democrats complained because they wanted that man to be able to go into the bathroom with women. Do you see how sick that is? Called it discriminatory, called it cruel, called it all kind of stuff. Because the man in a dress wanted to go in a woman's bathroom and sit beside women while they did their business. And the Democratic Party is all for it. And most of you people out there listening to me, especially if you're black, vote for them. It's a shame before God. You have put. I was in Detroit. Shout out to Blackset for giving a very good Night of Faith event in Roseville, Georgia, Michigan, a couple of weeks ago. Had a good time up there with the people. If you go to my YouTube page, I have the speech that I gave in Roseville, and you can watch it. But when I went up there, Detroit was cold, as it always is in February. And I was getting on the plane to fly back. On the plane, of course, you can look out the windows of the plane. And we were sitting on the tarmac for a while. So I started looking outside to see what was going on, why it was taking so long. And they had people out there loading up the luggage up under the plane. You could see it going into the docks and the doors underneath. And I looked, and it was cold out there, man. Wind was blowing, and a little snow was falling. It was really cold. And I saw that there were women doing the work, black women. They had on these big old frumpy coats and hats, and they were loading up this luggage. And I just said to myself, that's a job her husband should be doing, and she should be at home. And if she does have a job, it shouldn't be out here on this tarmac doing this type of heavy work. Well, it was like 3, 4 women out there doing their job on their tarmac. And I said they've allowed feminism and the feminist mystique to make a fool out of them. There was a time in American history where a woman wouldn't have been allowed to do a job like that because they said, no. This is man's work. You don't put your hands on this type of stuff. You're not out here in the cold. You're not out here getting dirty. You know, the women in my family ain't allowed to put their hands on garbage. We take it out. They're not allowed to carry anything heavy. They're not allowed to go up under the hood. Well, not allowed, but they're not supposed to go up under the hood of a car. We'll take care of it. If they have to do it, they'll do it. But no, I'm here. I'll take care of it. I remember when I was a boy. It's a true story. It had sleeted. Bad ice storm one night. And we didn't go to school. And we got up. Of course, we were happy that we didn't have to go to school that day because of the ice storm. Day off, right? So we're in the house, and my dad had to get up, and my dad was an insurance man. He had to go get to the office. And Dad got up, Dad got dressed, he's headed out of the house. He said, bye, y'all. I said, hey, Dad, bye. You know, he left. And my mom whispered in his ear that she needed some money, and Dad pulled out a wad of money, put it in her hand, walked out the door, got in the car, and left. I'm standing there with my mom. And it's just ice all over the place. Daddy rolls out, he goes to work. And my mama looked at me and said, you know what, Vince? I looked at her, she said, these young little girls are crazy. At that time, they want to go out there and be police officers and work in coal mines and work on the road. She said, you see your daddy rolled out in all this ice and snow this morning? I said, yes, ma'am. He said that before he left, he put a wad of money in my hand. Yeah. He said, and I ain't got to go nowhere. I can sit here now and just take it easy all day long. These young girls are fools. And she sat down, took a cup of coffee and started drinking it. I said, Mama's a G, she's a player. If Samson and Delilah and Adam and Eve doesn't teach us anything, it teaches us that a woman can get a man to do anything that she wants him to do if she just uses her words properly. There is a concept in America right now where women want to act like men. They don't want to act like women. Men want to act like women and don't want to act like men. The roles have become reversed, and the Democratic Party and these Marxists, these cultural Marxists are behind it. And consequently, our society is dying. What does that Bible say? A tree is known by the fruit it bears. You got men switching harder than the women now. Women slapping the men around. The greatest example of this was the last presidential campaign when we had Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff. As I said y'all before, and I'll say it again. Every time I saw Doug Emhoff, I wanted to beat the hell out of him. I mean, I'm just looking at him, just estrogen just rolling out of his skin. I'm saying, boy, I tell you what, that is a terrible example of a man right there. And you know, Kamala Harris didn't never act like she had any respect for him. But that's who the Democrats are, and they love Doug Emhoff. They loved him because he, to them, was their prime example of a man. Barack Obama's lip-wristed behind. Michelle Obama looked like a daggone man in a dress. And everybody just loved her because that's what she looked like. That's why we call her Big Mike. I told you Barack weighed about 175 pounds soaking wet. Big Mike looked like she played linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers. Probably beat the hell out of Barack. Shoot, like I said, on a bad day, she might give me a run for it. But these big mean women, Letitia James, Stacey Abrams, all these big mannish looking men and women, they running the Democrat Party now. They loud, they ratchet, they mean, and the men all sitting back scared of it. You know what? Nancy Pelosi ran the party since 2022. Nancy Pelosi ran the Democratic Party for 20 years. That old dried up hag. And all these men just walking behind her. Yeah. The last presidential nominees for the Democratic Party, besides Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton. These guys ain't got, they have no problem being told what to do. The black church right now, basically run by women. Women in the pulpit tell the men what to do. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes. This is a scandal. It doesn't work. These women are being sexualized. And I'm not saying anybody's fighting against it. Oh, you can't turn on the TV without seeing some woman out there shaking her behind, especially black women. I mean, just shaking all the time. Cardi B, Meg Stallion, Glorilla, Sexy Red. Just basically naked. The rappers call them the B word, the W word. They don't say anything about it. The very thing that men used to think about women and society used to think about women, placed them on a pedestal to be basically praised. I recall when we had dinner, Mama would come to the table, we had to stand. Our mama walked into a room, we had to all treat her with ultimate respect. If we were cutting up and carrying on, your daddy would tell us, okay, your mama's coming, y'all straighten up. And we had to straighten up. We had to treat mama. Mama was treated with respect. Doors open, yes, ma'am. If not, one of my parents was going to knock the living hell out of you. I learned that game early on in life, to not disrespect mama in any way. My mother was placed on a pedestal. My sisters were. Man, better not touch one of my sisters. My dad would kill me. Couldn't even raise my voice to my sisters or my mama. I treat women with the same respect now. With respect and with honor. Don't raise my voices to them. Don't call them out of their name. Do not threaten them. Ever. Sometimes I got to tell my daughters they need to slow their roll a little bit, and they slow it down. They chill out. Open the door, treat with respect, and you got some women now, man, they take umbrage at that. Call a man, but you call him man. Open the door, I can get my own door. I say, well, and that lets me know right there and right there, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I'm as far away from a woman like that as I could possibly be. And then, as soon as she stepped you like a man and you threaten to knock her through a wall like a man, she want to start calling the police on you then. You say, hey, if you're going to be about the game, man, be about it. You want to talk to me like a man and treat me like a man every other way. Now when it's time to get down with the get down, you want to all now talk about I'm a woman. You want to pull that card out then. So that's what I want to tell these women. If you're going to be about it, be about it. You're going to come to Vince Ellison like a man all these other ways, then when it's time for us to get down because you got disrespectful, oh, now you want to play a woman, you want to play feminine all of a sudden? Come on with it. Because a man disrespect me, we going to deal with that. Right then, right there. And if he a man, we ain't calling the police. We might have to call the ambulance when it's over with, but nobody's calling the cops afterward. Two men get to fight and you get your butt whooped and you going to call the police on the guy that whooped you. There ain't no man. You just showed your skirt right there. So now, I ain't talking about violence against women. But if you act like that, you're not a woman. No violence against women. 100% no violence against women. So act like one. You start acting like a man, stepping like a man, being a man, and then you don't want, now you want to say, Ollie Ellison free, we stop the man thing here? No, it don't work like that. Stay in the woman's zone, I stay in the man's zone. We got no problems. You come into my world, you step into a dangerous place. You better be able to stand up in it. That's just a little advice for these young girls that really say that they're men. And y'all keep on watching these shows on television. Like Wonder Woman and all these shows where they just got men just beating the hell out of women. And one woman just beat the hell out of 5, 6 men, kicking them through glass doors, putting them in chokeholds, stabbing them and shooting them like Queen Latifah do on that show she's on. Y'all keep on believing that crap if you want to here. Keep on thinking that the average woman can stand up to the average man and whoop him, and you're gonna. That's why there's so much trouble in the world right now. They're gassing these women up to believe that they can step up to men and act a certain way as opposed to using every feminine wild that God has given them to get a man to do anything she won't, like my mama did my daddy. But the Democratic Party tricked these women, made fools out of them, tricked them into going out there being promiscuous, and then talk them into killing their own children. God, boy, that's terrible. Trying to tell them they can raise boys and keep them away from their fathers. And the boy grows up all jacked up and terrible. Try to teach them they can raise a girl who, when they're 13, when they're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, they really need their daddy around for reassurance and love and support. And they don't get it. And they end up really, really, really jacked up. Why? Feminine mystique. These Democrats telling these women that they can handle it all themselves. And they put these burdens on them that nobody should have to bear. And they think somehow or another that they're hurting men. Baby girl, let me tell you something. Y'all keep this with you. When it comes down to children and men, it's out of sight, out of mind. If a child is under the roof living with a man, he'll give his last dime to buy that child a pair of shoes. You take that child away and make sure that the father can't see that child, he's not going to care too much about it. You're not hurting him. You're hurting yourself and you're hurting that child. You think it's going to hurt that man to not have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to take his children to school and be there at 3 o'clock to pick them up and bring them home and be there every weekend to make sure that they're safe and take them to church and make sure that they're disciplined? No, you free them up to go in the streets and do what the hell he want to do. That's a hellfire punishment. Free at last, thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. And you left with all of that. Make a fool out of y'all, man. I'm hoping that with this podcast that young women will listen to this and understand that the Democratic Party is an evil institution. They want to destroy the family. They want to destroy the God-made structure that he set up in this world. They want confusion. They want chaos. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And 85% of divorces now are being filed by women. It's not being filed by husbands. If we can ever reconnect this chain to where we teach our young girls to not have children before they get married, to act like the ladies and the beautiful women that they are, to be pleased and esteemed by the fact that they do these things well, these things that God has put into their heart. That no matter what type of man you are, I don't care if you're a billionaire and I don't care if you work at a minimum wage job. If you cannot love your family and protect your family, it doesn't matter how much money you make. Those things don't matter. Your manhood comes from those two things, being able to love and protect and provide for your family. Same as a woman. Don't care what they say about you as a woman. If your house is dirty, your children are unkempt, and they're not fed properly, I don't care how much money you make. You're a disgrace. These foundational aspects of being women and men have to be reinforced in American society. That there is a division of labor. We're not saying that they don't bleed into each other every now and again, but there's a division of labor to bring a family back together, to bring respect and honor and virtue back to the family. Because I'm going to tell you this, my friends, America is dying. And I'm going to tell you this. If the American family continues to die, I do not care how much money we make. I do not care how many businesses we bring into this country. I don't care what we do. There's nothing that will save the United States of America. Nothing. Our children will continue to die. Our children will continue to go to jail. Our children will continue to have to turn to drugs and alcohol and extramarital sex in order to escape from the world that they should be dominating. It's up to parents again to understand and tell their children what is right, what is wrong, how they're supposed to live these lives. And forget what these Democrats are telling you. You go to your Bible, you go to your culture, and stay away from these feminists and these liars and these perverts and these miscreants. These violent, evil people who all they want to use you for is a sexual object, and then bribe you to go and kill your own flesh and blood so they can then use his body parts for the pharmaceutical industry. And you got to carry that for the rest of your life. And then they want to convince you that you don't have to go and repent and reconcile yourself with God for the sin that you've created, putting you in danger of hellfire. Yeah, the Democratic Party is trying to destroy women, because if they destroy women, they destroy America. And when I say destroy women, I'm not talking about like putting them into a fiery pit and burning them up. I'm saying destroy womanhood, where a man can put on a wig and walk around and say that he's what you are. And for you to accept that is a shame. A woman walking around looking like a man, we laugh at her because we know she's not a woman. We know she's not a man. We know it. She's a woman acting like a man. And we sit back because we know she don't scare us at all. But women allowing a guy as big as me, all the stuff you've gained over the years, from respect to gratitude to being able to go out into the workforce and earn livings, and now you're going to let these men come in and take that. I tell you what, and I'm going to end with this. This is on you. I hope these men come in and take everything you got. You deserve it. If you're this stupid, let these men in dresses come in. Yeah, let them go shower with your daughters. Let them go into the locker rooms with your daughters. Let them run your daughters out of female sports, and we'll see a bunch of shacks and wigs running up and down the basketball court. Yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. I want to see what happens when the first man gets on the Olympic soccer team or the WNBA. That's when I want to see it. The hell with this high school stuff. I want to see the first man get into the WNBA or major college basketball. That's what I want to see. I want to see how y'all act for it then. I want to see the first man get on the USA women's soccer team. I want to see that. Let this thing roll out to its inevitable conclusion. And let me see how you respond to it then. I want to go to a point where the women are begging the Republican Party to reverse all this and leave the Democratic Party and come to the Republican and conservative side. That's when it becomes beautiful. So yeah. Let these Democrats keep pushing this stuff through in California and in Maine and in Oregon. Yeah, sooner or later, you're going to see the people come to their senses and say, this can't fly no longer. This got to stop. We ain't quite there yet, but we're getting there. And while we're riding on this train and driving on this highway of insanity to sanity, I'm going to be your conductor because I am here to wake you up. Hope I did you some good today. So join me again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, friends, Vince Everett Ellison is here. I want you to go to my website, and on my website, you're going to see a lot of great stuff, man. You're going to see that we got t-shirts, we got caps, you got my books, my documentaries, you got all kinds of stuff on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Go there. We're dropping new t-shirts, we're dropping new merchandise. My new book, The End of Tolerance, is there. The End of Tolerance. Make sure you get it, make it #1. If you got my first 3, get The End of Tolerance. It's just as good. And it's telling us we have to end our tolerance with these leftists, these Democrats. We can no longer allow them to sexually groom our children. We can no longer allow them to castrate little boys and call them little girls, run God out of the public square, take away our guns, take away our sovereignty. No longer allow it. So go on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Hit merchandise. You'll see the t-shirts. You'll see the caps. You'll see the books. You'll see the documentaries. You'll see it all. And let's keep this ball rolling. God bless you.